20. And as soon as I introduced myself to him and I said, hey, Brett, I've been watching your whole career, we hit it off just like that and just had an absolute blast.
Steve Austin, honored to have you on the show, my man. I'm a huge fan. Thank you for being here. I've got to ask you your thoughts about where wrestling is today. And I'm asking the question that's sort of loaded. I grew up loving the WWF, Hulk Hogan, Andre the Giant, everybody, to the NWA, if you remember. The Road Warriors was my favorite tag team. Magnum TA, the American Dream, Dusty Rhodes, and the crew. That was my favorite time watching wrestling, and obviously when you guys were doing what you've been doing as well. How are you feeling about the state of wrestling today with the WWE? I still think it's fantastic. Please don't get me wrong. But there's a slight difference between now and what it was back in the 80s, the 90s, and obviously at the turn of the century. Your thoughts, sir?
I always love your opinion on things, and you're spot on. Today is a different era. So it's a more athletic product, and the guys and gals are better athletes than we were. But going back to the names you just mentioned were the exact same names that I grew up on. Big NWA fan, Mid-South Power Pro from Bill Watts. Where I broke in world-class championship wrestling, and then into the Attitude Era at my peak. I just think the business was a lot more protected back then, and you didn't have to be, man, I tell you, we really pushed the envelope as far as creatively, as far as the Attitude Era goes, but it was just a grittier product, and that's kind of what I thrive on. Yeah. But all respect to the men and women of WWE and everywhere right now for working through this pandemic and working without crowds, because when you watch the football games being played and no crowd or 25% capacity, right, those crowds affect your performance, and especially in the ring, in professional wrestling, because that's how you get your feedback as far as your decision-making process. So I miss the crowds, and it is a different product, Stephen. You're spot on, and all the guys you mentioned were my heroes.
Yeah. When will there ever be a tag team event as good as King Kong Bundy and Big John Studd against Andre the Giant and Hulk Hogan? Those were the days. Steve, I saw you shooting those bow and arrows at Bigfoot. Didn't you want to hit him with a stunner? Why are you cheating at that distance with a bow and arrow? I wanted to see a stunner.
Man, you should have seen how big that Bigfoot was. And I never believe in Sasquatch because anytime you see him in a picture, he's blurry. But it was a fun day hanging out with Brett. And hell, by the footage that you're seeing right now, I wasn't that effective with the bow. And again, I think you had a little bit of home field advantage on me.
It looked like a lot of fun. Steve, can we talk about the Super Bowl? Go ahead, Max.
Go ahead, Marlon. No. I just quickly, Brett Favre had that thing about him. You saw it on the field. The team loved to play with him. He made people believe they could win. And since his career has ended, you hear him on TV and the radio, and his charisma is obvious. Hanging out with him, what do you feel hanging out with him?
That same thing, and I asked him, what it's like to be in a huddle with Brett Favre, and he's that guy that, his teammates knew that he was out there battling for them. They all believed in him, and he was no more important than the other 10 guys on the field at the same time, then bringing the defense. So that was the approach that he took to the game, and I think what you see with Brett is exactly what you get, man. He's just a down-home. He's very confident, but he's just a laid-back guy, and I think he's enjoying his post-football career as much as anybody is. I think he's living a great life, and he had an amazing career that I love to watch.
Yeah, for sure. We had him on the show recently, and it was just a quick interaction, but he just seems like such a likable guy. It was a lot of fun. All right, let's talk Super Bowl. You played college football. You know your football. Who are you going with? The young gun, Patrick Mahomes, or the GOAT, Tom Brady? Where are you, Steve?
Well, it's going to be, a whole team effort. And, if you're going to beat Tom Brady, you've got to put pressure on him. You've got to get your hands on him. You've got to put him down. You've got to make him nervous. Patrick Mahomes, what a career this guy's had since he's came into the league. And I just love what that guy's doing. I don't know if he can be stopped. When we talk about gunslingers, he's that next gunslinger. But the way he can throw the ball with the accuracy, that arm strength that he has, all those weapons, it's hard. It really is hard for me to pick. I'm going to go Chiefs just because I think Patrick Mahomes is that dynamic, but you've got to put Brady on the ground. And don't get me wrong, both teams have to play great football, but I'm going to go Kansas City.
How do you feel about Tom Brady saying that he can play or he's past the age of 45? I look at him as great as and phenomenal as he is. I'm thinking about how physical the game is, Steve. I'm thinking about guys with your mentality looking at him as a stationary target and saying, excuse me, the next 2 years you go take these hits? I don't think so.
Man, it's exactly what you said. I mean, you better have one hell of an offensive line, and, all of your running backs or whoever's, designed to block for him, they've got to pick up their blocks because, man, those guys are so big, strong, and fast, these guys, and they protect the quarterback way more than they ever did. So if they can just keep him off the ground, well, then I believe him. But again, you've got to keep people with their hands off of him because, one bad hit, and I never want that to happen, but one bad hit could take that guy out of the game.
Steve, you've obviously watched football for a long time, and I talk a lot about Mahomes on this show, and Stephen A. will bring up Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce. But the three of those guys together, like in your experience watching football, have you ever seen a quarterback at this level with targets at that level?
Well, and especially a quarterback this young at this level so soon. I mean, who is coming to the league and dominated like Patrick Mahomes did from game one when he was behind, what's his name there for a little bit in Kansas City. But, I mean, as soon as he got on the field, he just lights out. So, no, man, I mean, he's got all the weapons, he's got all the skills, and he's got all the confidence. And, Andy Reid's got all the confidence in him to let him do, anything and everything he wants. So, man, it's a hard combo to beat.
Yeah, for sure. Before we let you go, tell us what can we expect in season 2?
Hey, season 2 is just kind of it's a continuation of season 1. And like I said, we got a window of opportunity between August and November to get this show in. And we've been off the air for like 16 months. So I was chomping at the bit to get going. My show is a talk show. And it's built around action, adrenaline, a driving feature, and an activity. And many times it turns into something competitive between myself and the guest. And that's kind of an activity to bond over as I listen to their story about how they got so successful, things that they had to overcome. And I get a chance to hang out with some really cool people. And hell, I hate to call it a job because I'm having so much fun at it. So I just hope we get season 3. And I hope everybody enjoys, what we're doing. And we got preempted this past week. Brett Favre, the gunslinger, is my next guest next Monday.
Let that personality shine, my man. You'll get season 3. You'll get season 3.
Thank you, guys.
No question. Straight up Steve Austin on the USA Network, and I love the concept of the interview and the competition. Thank you so much for being with us. Stay safe.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate you.
All right, take care. I asked you guys earlier in the show about Tom Brady saying he'll definitely consider playing past the age of 45. Max, we asked everybody at home if they should take this seriously. 69% of our First Take fam said yes. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, you have to take it seriously. He's already shattered the longevity record and the age record, really. No one's ever played quarterback like this at 43. And so the odds may be against it still, because any next play could be your last play. But to say you're just going to dismiss it and not take it seriously based on what we've just seen, no, I have to take it seriously.
I don't. Why don't you, let's see you get through next season first. You turn 44 on August 3rd. You're the reigning NFC champions and quite possibly a Super Bowl champion when all is said and done. If I'm listening to my man Charlie Mack, Tom Brady, the greatest story ever told, Super Bowl 55, MVP, and all of that stuff. Let's say for the sake of argument, something like that happens. You have any idea what kind of target he's going to be next year? I'm just looking at it from the standpoint that, again, going through another grueling 16-game season, getting hats put on you, as you age, the punches hurt just a little bit more, the hits hurt just a little bit more. I mean, that would be 2 more seasons. Plus, I got to see that.
You can't breathe on the quarterback anymore.
I can't. That's a good point.
You're not even allowed to look at him sideways
without being penalized. But what if you're willing to take the penalty just to put a hat on him? I'm just saying.
There's risk.
Yeah, it's right. I don't know. Giselle might say, "Yo, well, you know, it's time for you to come on home now. All right, you got 7 Super. Come on home." You know, Giselle might be saying that, and we know she counts more than everybody.
Tom,
All
you
I know
proved
is
your
if he
point.
wins
Come
Super
home.
Bowl 55, he could really end it on a high note. Usually the game retires you.